What's up, everybody? Hope your training is going well. This is Jed Johnson from dieselcrew.com, and of course, you know they call me Napalm. There it is, right across the chest. Today is the rundown video of what went down at King Kong 2020 here at Peak Strength and Fitness in Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. This, as it turns out, so the first one was in 2013, so 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is the 8th King Kong, and I found out from Eric Hussein, who is one of the co-promoters of King Kong, that he and I are the only two who have competed in every single King Kong. And it's interesting because I was not planning on competing in the first King Kong. I don't know if I was feeling burnt out or what, but basically in September of that year, I ran my first contest. It was the first contest that I had ran in a while, probably a couple years anyway. Luke ended up coming to that competition. It was the first contest he ever went to, and when it was done, he wanted to go to another one. And lo and behold, there was another one just 2 weeks after that. It was going to be the initial King Kong. It was only about 3 hours away, so we rode up the morning of. We did the contest, came right back, and the rest is history. We're still training grip and competing together ever since. So it's been awesome, but I didn't realize that we were the only ones that had competed in all the King Kongs. I guess up until last year, another guy who had competed in all the King Kongs was Yoni Mahonen. So I guess he did not compete this year. I don't know if he's hurt or not, but I think he finished second like 2 years in a row at King Kong. So very highly skilled grip athlete. So who'd we have here? We had Anthony Clarino, Anton Torella, Tom Flesher, Vincent Revelese, Luke Raymond, Jed Johnson, Chris Andrade, Andrew Sasso, Evan Norton, Tim Butler, Skylar Manahan, Aaron Carr, Clint Ziegler, and then Mike McMillan Kane. Aaron and Skylar are two members of my gym. So is Evan, but you may not know those names. Aaron's competed at a couple of my contests before. Skylar never had before. But these guys train together. They have a nice rivalry in the gym, and they're very strong hands, good grip on them, and they enjoy it. So they decided to come and compete. Of course, you know Evan from a few of my videos, very, very strong dude. You know Luke, and a lot of these other names have been in videos before on my site. So here on my channel. And I think Anthony and Anton, among others, were at that first. I know Anton was. I'm not sure about Anthony. But I think he was. That's when I first met those guys. And from that contest till now, it's like they're different people. Totally. They've learned a lot. They've improved a lot. Tom Flesher is somewhat newer to the group. He trains with those guys in the New York area quite often. And he's coming along nicely. Really, really good to see the way that Andrew and Clint and Mike are coming along. You know, as you gain experience, it just all improves. Chris, one of my absolute best friends in grip, always a pleasure to have him here. Tim Butler, going to be working with him on some programming coming up. I think he has the potential to be one of the absolute best in the United States. I truly do. Vincent Revelese is also in that group of New York guys, and the dude, it's a shame that there were no grippers in this event because he's a great gripper guy. I believe he just did MM1 and maybe even MM2 here recently. I know he did MM1 recently. So that's about it for the rundown, and you're going to see that pretty much on every event, the last two competitors were Luke and I. I can't say enough about how important it is to my training to have Luke as my partner. And in April, he hurt his finger really bad. I think it was his middle finger on his right hand. Hurt that really, really bad on a tips tester. and he didn't come for like 3-4 months. So everything that he accomplished in training for this event took place here in like the last 6 to 8 weeks tops. And you know, the way that the King Kong is scored is with reverse strongman scoring. So you want low points. So first place gets 1 point, second place gets 2 points, etc., until you get down to the last person that competed in the event. And the other way to score grip is with percentage-based scoring. So the top performance would get 100 points or 10 points, depending on how you factor it. But first place would get 10 points, and everybody else's score is based on dividing your score by the number one score. And if this contest had been done that way, Luke actually would have beat me by less than 0.2 of a point. So that's the first contest that we've been in together where he would have beat me using any scoring system. So congratulations to him. It's good. It's always good to have someone like that pushing you, and we're always helping each other, trying to monitor technique, tell each other what things look like, tell them the height that we're pulling, things like that. If we see something, we mention it. So like I said, you're only as good as your training partner, and that's a big reason why I've reached the heights that I have in the last few years. All right, the events. We had one-hand flask. Everything's one-handed. So flask, 2.25 inch crusher, grab ball, which is a new event, and then little bighorn, which is little bighorn was actually in the very first King Kong, I recall. The difference now is that we pulled to 6 inches. In grip sport, just about everything is lifted to a certain height, and it makes it extremely easy to make the call, to make the judgment on whether the person reached the proper height. In grip, especially with one-hand lifts, it's almost impossible to lock something out properly with both shoulders back. Sometimes even just one is hard enough. But with both shoulders back in grip sport, when you're creating so much tension, it's impossible. So I'm glad that we use the height gauge on all these events now. What I'm going to do is talk about each event, let you know how training went, and then what I got at the contest. And I'll touch on Luke's as well. And then if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll just do a video on any questions that come along here in the next week or so, if you have any questions. So on the flask, I actually thought I might hit 130 pounds. Things were going so well at the beginning of September that I was on pace to, I thought, hit 130 pounds. I think I tripled 112 added, or maybe it was 112 total. But it was probably 112 total. But to triple that, I mean, that early in the game, usually to hit a double or triple that high, it's usually like within the last 3 weeks. So I'm like 8 weeks out hitting triples with 112, and I was psyched. I thought things were going to go really well. The problem is, ended up getting a couple cuts, and I had to go with thumb guards for the last 2.5, 3 weeks of training. So that's like 5 training sessions on the flask. So I think it kind of hurt me a little bit. Plus, the last couple weeks, the implement really was feeling like garbage. Just really slippery. It seemed like it was ripping out of your hand when you least expected it. So that was tough. That was tough to deal with. But that's what happens sometimes. So I think I did 120 in training sometime. I know I did like 117 and got that. I might even doubled 117. Lots of 112s there. Doesn't matter. Seems like I got up to 117 in training. Ended up doing 120 on my third attempt. So I went 114, 117, 120 on the dot. Then I went for a new world record. So basically I made the smallest margin above the current record that I could. and it was only like for a 3.5 pound jump. So I did 120 on the third and then 123.55 on the fourth. It was very reasonable. I got it to within about this far from the stick. You can see from the video, it just swings around there, and I just didn't quite pull it high enough. I don't waste time pulling it to lockout and stuff like that like some people, like Jesse Pinonen, okay? I just hit the stick and set the thing down. Maybe I should consider pulling it to lockout because the strategy didn't work out. And then Luke ended up with, he did 107, 110, 114.88, and then tried the 117.43 that I pulled. Like I could have pulled it in my sleep. It was so easy, but he missed it. So he ended up with 114.88. Now, the strategy was I was going to hit Flask left-handed, and then I was going to do Crusher. The first attempt was going to be left, and then the rest right. Grab Ball was going to be left hand, and then Little Bighorn would be right hand. So it was kind of basically left, right, left, right. The only one in there that I was going to do left-handed was one time I was going to try to start off the Crusher with my left hand and then do the last three on my right. And I thought what that would do is maybe give me a chance to PR on the Crusher by taking one less attempt. The problem is, with about 10-15 days left of training, I strained something in my left hand doing grab ball. So very early on, I would say in August, I think, I ended up hitting 200 on grab ball, which at that time only one or two people had done. And then by the end of August, I had hit 204, got it to basically lock out, and then it slipped out of my hand. So, and then sometime in October, I kind of I was up and down, but, I was hitting 202 fairly consistently. But once I would get above 202, then it would kind of rip out of my hand before it was a legal lift. So I was constantly modifying how I gripped the grab ball. And in the last training session that I did, something felt very, very strained in my hand. So I didn't train it anymore that particular day. And then I didn't train it. I think there were two sessions that Luke trained it that I said, nah, I'm going to hold off. So it ends up being about a week and a half there. And then the full week off before of King Kong, I didn't do any training at all to try to let my hand recover. And it just didn't pay off. So what happened was, on my second attempt at Crusher, so I started with 212 left-handed because it was feeling kind of slick, and plus doing the oiling protocol that was necessary felt like it made it a little bit more difficult, the handle a little bit more difficult. So I started a little bit lower than I wanted to. I would have preferred to have started at like 215 or 216 left-handed, but instead I started at 212. And then I went 218. So the 212 was left-handed, and when I picked it up, I felt almost like a tiny burning sensation in my hand. So I was kind of like, fuck, what just happened? But I kind of no-sold it, went on to the second attempt, got 218. And then my third and fourth attempts were 223, and I really didn't get it up off the ground much more than like 2 or 3 inches. So I didn't even take my full minute's turn on the Crusher on my fourth attempt. I believe in one of my sessions, I think I like 3 sessions in a row on Crusher, I PR'd. So I just started hitting mass quantities of singles with a PR attempt mixed in there the last couple weeks, and I ended up getting a PR like 3 out of 4 sessions or 3 sessions in a row, something like that. So here's a 224.1 that I did. I thought I got up to 226, but here's a 222.4. So I was up over 222 several times. So I was happy with that. But we were going with 5-pound jumps, so 218 to 223 ended up being just a little too much for me. The thick bar event is the one that Luke generally has the hardest time on. So he went 189, 197, 202, and then 205. So on the last attempt, I let people take smaller jumps, and sometimes we even did like 1 pound jumps. So that's crusher. So that's the second event. Now we're into the third event, grab ball. And just going to check the video, make sure. Yep, still got time. Crusher's the third event. Grab ball's the third event. This is the one that in the 3 spot of this competition, there's always kind of I'm going to say an oddball event. That's not a knock on the event. It's just something that's not normally contested. So it might be like a hub type of implement. We've had the moon top before, the dub hub, which last year we always called the dumb hub because we didn't even have to do the hub grip. We could do the doorknob grip and stuff. It's an unconventional implement. Okay, a lot of times these implements cause me a great deal of frustration. Grab ball did not cause me frustration. I would say I was up in the 180s. I think I started training this in March. As soon as it came out, I grabbed it. Luckily for me, anything that I buy for grip is a write-off for my business. So I don't have a problem investing in these new handles. So the crusher was 2¼ inch. It's brand new handle. I don't have a problem. The grab ball, it was like $30-35. I don't have a problem buying those. I know that's not the case with everybody. Some people had a problem with the events this year and the new implements. I encourage them to voice their concerns. I voiced my concern based on the feedback I was getting. That's all I can do. I do not select the events for King Kong at all. But this is one implement that was the oddball event that didn't cause me a lot of frustration. In fact, I enjoyed training it. So, like I said, I had gotten up to 204. I was consistently around like 200, 202. And so what I did, knowing that my left hand was a little off, I started at 190. That's also where Luke started. My next jump, I went to 200, which is also what Luke went to. I ended up missing and he got his. So now the pressure's on me. I tried the same weight again in my third attempt and missed it again. So now I've missed twice. Luke tried 202 and he missed. So now going into our last attempts, I stayed with 200 and I really focused on trying to get the feel. That was the one thing about the grab ball was it was like if you got your hand in the right spot, you could pick up your PR weight and hold it there for 5-10 seconds. If you were off by just a fraction of an inch, then it might not come up off the ground. So I really looked for that optimal grip. I was able to find it, and I was able to get a legal lift with that 200 pounds. Luke, Chuck Vogelpolled it on his fourth attempt. He missed the 202.71 and jumped up to 205.2 for his last attempt, which that really takes some balls. So that gamble paid off. It doesn't always. I've tried that as well and absolutely did not pay off for me, but it paid off for him. So he ended up finishing ahead of me. So where we're at now is I finished a little bit ahead of him by about 5.2 pounds on the first event. I finished about 15.5 pounds on the second event ahead of him. He finished about 5 pounds ahead of me on the third event, and now we're going into Little Bighorn, which he's phenomenal at, and I've always had a really, really hard time on. Now, here's why what you do in training does not matter, and the only thing that matters is what you do in competition. I worked up to a PR in my training on the Little Bighorn of something like 234 pounds. I think it's in the old book. So here's a 228 on 921, sorry. Here's a 230.1 on 929. Here's a 227.4 on 10.3. So historically, Little Bighorn has been very hard for me. I think last year I only got like barely above 200 maybe. In July, I got 214 on my last attempt, and it took me 3 tries to get it. So here I am pulling like 227, 231. I know there was a 234 in there somewhere. And so I'm thinking, yeah, this is going well. I'm finally starting to turn the corner on this thing, figuring some stuff out. So I take a warm up and it rips right out of my hand. So my first attempt was 212. I was thinking, holy crap, what's going on here? So I had to get on the board. So 212, I went ahead and hit that for a warm up, or for my first attempt. Then I made the minimum jump, 5 pounds. 217, missed that on my second attempt, missed that on my third attempt. And then finally, I got the 217 on my last attempt. I was livid. Had some choice words. Most of those got cut out of the footage that I uploaded. Very, very frustrating. Luke started at 227, went to 237, missed 242, and then came back and got 242. So that's up there. I want to say that the record on the Little Bighorn for GSI is like 250, 255, something like that. So that's right up there near the record. He did a lift in the mid to high 250s in one of his last 2 training sessions. So what happened? So on the Little Bighorn, I definitely made some adjustments that paid off big time and allowed me to get some higher numbers. However, I was not able to apply those during the contest. It's like I just went back to some of my old habits. It doesn't matter what you do in training. It only matters what you do on the platform the day of the competition. And I made that adjustment on my last attempt. I was able to get the 217 pretty easy. So I definitely had more in the tank. I went back into old habits. That's all there is to it. So Luke ends up, 217 and 242, it's about, 25 pounds difference? And he went ahead and did the math, and like I said, I think he finished just under 0.2 points ahead of me. So 0.2 of a point ahead of me. So congratulations to him. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I was second on the pinch overall, and then for the crusher, I don't know if I was top 10 for the grab ball. I don't even know. Maybe top 8. I'm not sure. That's all out there to be found. But ended up finishing 4th overall. I think Luke got 9th or 10th. Sorry, I didn't think to jot all that stuff down. I did get first place in the 120 kilos class. Luke got first in the 93 kilo class. And then after that, we did some record breakers. We tried the 2-hand flask. This is at the end of the contest. The GSI record is 220. So I said for anyone to take part in the record breakers, they had to at least be breaking the weight class record. So Luke did 222, then he missed 232. So the 222 is like all-time, 220 would have been the all-time record. So he beat that with the 222. 232, missed it, came back and got it on his 3rd attempt, tried 237, didn't happen. So I came in at 232, got that, I got 237, I got 247, and then I tried 252, came fairly close, maybe a couple inches away, didn't quite get it. So the GSI record now for the 2-hand pinch on the flask will be 247. Next we went to horn top. I don't know what the record was on the horn top at all. But for his weight class, Anthony Clarino will now have that. He did 129, 133, 138, 143. So his weight class, the record will be 143. Luke went 183, 212, and then tried 222 twice and couldn't quite get the height. So the record for that one will be 212.85. Whatever the record was, 188 was above it, and that's what I tried and couldn't even come close. I thought for sure I'd be able to get it, but it wasn't locked in well at all. And then Luke went for the FBBC anvil record. He did 251, he did 280, and then he tried 301, and he couldn't get it. So the record for that will be 280 pounds. That was all we had for the record breakers. That's the rundown from King Kong. If you have any other questions, let me know. I appreciate everybody who came up and helped. And my wife helped out tremendously. Aaron Carr helped load weights on the flask and the other events as well. That's a huge help. Tom Flesher stepped up and ran the computer a little bit towards the end. This is probably the most nervous I've ever been for a contest, and probably the most tired I've ever felt after a contest, at least for a long, long time that I recall. And the help that I got from everybody is truly appreciated because I was beat. And I think that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. I know the video is long. Please give it one of these. Be sure to subscribe. Any questions, put them in the comments section. All the best in your training. Take care.